Hello and welcome to a mini episode of Predictocast, the podcast where we predict the plot of a movie we know nothing about. I'm Josh, and with me, as always, is Santa Skinner. That's right.
That's right. It's me. Ho, ho, ho. Santa Skinner.
We are gearing up for the Christmas holiday season. There's other holidays, obviously, in December, not just Christmas. We're not being, we're thinking about everybody. We got Hanukkah, we got Kwanzaa. It's all happening this month. But obviously, we talk a lot about Christmas movies. We've done it for the last however many years on this show.
15 at least.
So you expect nothing less from us, and we've got a good assortment planned for this month. But on this mini episode, we're going to reveal what we're covering next week on the show. And as a fun way to tie into the new Matrix movie that's coming out in a couple of weeks.
What? That's impossible.
It's happening. It's a film series you've never seen, right?
I will never see it. I will see this before I see that.
So as a way to tie into the Matrix Resurrections that's coming out in a couple of weeks, we're doing The Matrix. No, we are doing a Keanu Reeves movie. I don't think we've ever done a Keanu Reeves movie on this show before. So we are getting into the holiday season with Babes in Toyland from 1986.
His seminal work, what he's known best for. Everyone loves him back as the Babe.
Yeah, stars both Keanu Reeves and Drew Barrymore, both very early on in their careers. I kind of am curious if, I'm kind of curious how much they're in this movie, like whether or not they actually play full parts. I mean, if you look on IMDb, they are listed pretty high up on the cast list, so that gives me hope that it's not going to be like a Mazes and Monsters issue with like Tom Hanks, where they just put him on the cover now and he's like barely in the movie.
I think we're pretty good with Drew Barrymore, nothing else, because she's a megastar before this. She was born a megastar.
Very true.
So
yes, that is true. I mean, this is well after E.T. And you know, she's has
she started the fires yet?
Was she Firestarter? When did that come out? That was 80s. Was that 87? Was that after this?
When did Billy Joel write about it?
That I don't know.
I wonder if this movie will be about the Cola Wars. No, we already covered that.
Yes. So E.T. was 82. Firestarter was 84. And this was 86. So
she besides the fact that she's a Barrymore, she's also established as an A-list young actress.
Yeah, she was also she was in Cat's Eye in 85. So she's been around and been doing some pretty substantial stuff.
And now she's 10 stops away from Toyland.
And she was in Babes in Toyland in 86, and then only 6 years later, she was in Poison Ivy.
I knew you were going to reference this to Poison Ivy in the end anyways.
I was also thinking about a joke earlier saying that while I've never seen Babes in Toyland, I've definitely seen Babes in Toyland 5, All Anal Adventure, when I turned 18 and could go behind the beaded curtain.
That's specifically the number one reference in your head when you hear Babes in Toyland.
That's right. It definitely sounds like a Pornhub search term.
Waxwork 2, Lost in Time, vampire victim. She did hit some troubled times.
Yeah, there's a choppy moment there. And played Fantasy Girl in Motorama, whatever that is. But yeah, so
what's funny was she was never not famous. We just decided,
yes,
we what we do
famous
to actresses who fall out of favor, just give them shitty roles, even though they're all exceedingly still famous.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think that one of her big comeback roles was getting murdered at the beginning of Scream.
That was one of the big ones. She was Sugar in Batman Forever.
Yeah, but she's barely in that either. Like, she
bar-
doesn't really get much to do in that. So, like, that was because I think she gets killed in Scream, and then she's in The Wedding Singer, Never Been Kissed, Charlie's Angels, like Ever After. She's in all these big things right after that. Like, she becomes a big star again.
Which, it's funny because the whole idea to start a Scream, to talk about Scream before we talk about Babes in Toyland.
Hey, but also there's a Scream sequel coming out in a couple of weeks too.
That's
so
impossible. And you can't,
I'm excited for it. It looks
you can't
great.
keep fucking bringing up these sequels to movies from the 90s, because they're not coming. But like the whole idea was like it opens up with her, and it's Drew fucking Barrymore. She's such a big star. It's amazing she gets killed. That's the whole idea. Like, how can you kill off someone that big a star? And yet, if you go by what people were casting her in, she wasn't a big star at all. But the fact is, if you walk down the street, everyone would fucking know who she is. And that's just how stupid the thing is when someone becomes unbankable, especially if they're a woman, when she's in fact famous than almost every human on earth still at this point.
Our good buddy and friend of the show, Phil Gonzalez, had a really interesting tweet. I'm dating this, but he had an interesting tweet on the day that we're recording this, which was him talking about how celebrities are expected to look a certain way and like be a certain type of person. And his tweet was, just remember that no celebrity, quote, still looks young. Celebrities pay a shit ton of money to look like they never age because that's part of their job, to always look young. And we love it until it stops looking effortless, and then we hate them for trying. And it's like, wow, that's very, very like poignant and totally accurate. And I don't know why we got down that road, but you know, it's definitely a thing to think about. Like, you know, we expect people, and I think it does kind of fit because, you know, when you see something with Keanu Reeves in it, everybody talks about like, oh, he looks so good for his age, and like, you know, he looks great, and Drew Barrymore looks great for her age, and all this stuff, and like she never looks bad or whatever. You know, it's just like a thing that we keep putting on these people and expect them to like constantly look a certain way or be a certain way forever. And then, you know, of course they can't stay that way.
I think the last thing Phil tweeted at me was something about square eggs. So we're probably, we also talk about that as well.
He contains multitudes.
Usually him and I have very, very high level conversations about very mature things.
So let's talk a little bit about what we think Babes in Toyland is going to be about. I have no conception of this. I know that there have been previous versions of this story. There was I think an earlier film from the 60s, I believe, that's sort of popular. I literally know nothing about this. Whenever I hear Babes in Toyland, my mind goes to the Nutcracker for some reason.
So, okay, I got to share something.
Because there are nutcrackers on the cover art, like on the poster. There's little nutcracker guys standing up. So my brain immediately goes to nutcrackers, and there's going to be like, maybe there's like a Rat King or something, because isn't there one of those in the Nutcracker?
I think there is. Ratigan. I believe that's the Nutcracker, right?
Ratigan? His name is Ratigan?
I think that's actually with the Great Mouse Detective or one of those.
Oh, okay.
I just sent you one of the foreign market posters for this because it's fucking fantastic.
Whoa. What? Who is that guy?
So before we get into who is that guy, I'll tell you my backstory about this. I know it was a little golden book. That's my first ever seeing of it. I know it's older stuff. I had heard this movie and never watched it. I hadn't watched the original ones. In my head, it's based on a board game, and it's not based on Candyland. But in my head, I see like, oh, Babes in Toyland, that's based on that board game. It's not a fucking board game.
I bet there's a Babes in Toyland board game. Let's see. I'm going to look it up.
I do like that one of the posters, which is it cannot possibly be anything besides like a fucking cheap DVD public domain.
There is a board game.
Oh, it was based on this one?
No, not on this one. There's one from, well, there's several. There's a bunch of different ones. You can get a bunch on Etsy and eBay. There's one that looks very old for like $18 on eBay. And then there's one from 1978 that you can get for $40. It is listed as Babes in Toyland, wonderful girl and boy land game.
I mean, that's how the song goes, isn't it?
Wonderful girl and boy land game. And boyland is one word.
Too insane for Boyland. Too much of a boy for Insane Land. Speaking of other lands, like, so one of the posters I found on this, before we get to the amazing one, it's clearly like a DVD cover for like one of those 5 DVDs for $5 bins at the dollar store. And it's just a white background, really bad font base of Toyland, 2 completely different shots of Drew and Keanu from the movie, where they're looking in totally different directions, and it just kind of has a Midsommar vibe to it with her little.
It does. She's got their little flower crown. She looks very happy. Maybe Keanu gets burned alive inside a bear at some point in this.
So is there a tagline?
Oh, it's a musical. Oh, God.
It's a musical.
I didn't know that.
There's this song, Girl in Boyland.
Yeah. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a musical. Maybe that when they get to Toyland, wherever this is, they, they're like, they hear a song, like an intro song, and then they never sing again.
No, that's not going to happen. Is any of the matrices musicals?
No, I mean, I'm thinking that's a very interesting idea, because they always make musicals of random movies that don't really feel like they should be. So I'm surprised there hasn't been a Matrix musical yet. That would be really interesting, and I'm sure that someone somewhere has probably thought about it and wanted to do it, and just like doesn't have the talent to do it, but like I'm sure that it's been thought about.
It has to be. I mean, you could do it like as an EDM musical, which that has to have been done by now, right?
Maybe.
Just a lot of glow sticks. I picture.
Yeah, probably. The cover that you were talking about with the 2 different photos on it, it says that it is a holiday musical for kids of all ages. So I mean, I'm right in that wheelhouse, I think.
I mean, you are an age.
Yeah, apparently this is apparently the original was a Disney movie. I don't think this is. This says it's a TV movie. So I imagine that the quality might be a little less than the classic Babes in Toyland from Disney, which I'm sure has, probably a little bit more.
Does it have Don Knotts in it?
Maybe it's an animated portion where he turns into a fish or a rat or something. Oh, it was an NBC TV movie.
Oh, that's even worse. But you keep going back to this rat deal, because there's a lot of animals on this one poster, but none of them are a rat.
That's true.
What ones do you see on this poster here?
Wait, which poster?
The one from that's got to be Germany, right?
Oh, this one. Oh, yes. The adventure in Spielzeugland. There's a teddy bear. They like stuffed animals. It's like a teddy bear, a stuffed rabbit, and a duck and a penguin. So that'll be interesting to see if
the bear's wearing pajamas. The rest are barely clothed.
Well, I will say that the penguin has a little bow tie on, and the duck has got like a Scottish golf outfit on.
It might be a Scottish duck. We might have a Scottish duck situation here.
Maybe so. And this is why I think that Keanu Reeves might not be in this very much, or he might not have been popular at the time, because his name is not on the poster for this German one.
Well,
it's got Drew Barrymore, it's got Pat Morita, which we haven't mentioned, and Elaine Brennan, but no Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, and like it's an interesting idea, because this is a German poster. I translated. It says a fantasy journey into another world in German. But there was a story a while back, because in Germany, when you name your child something, you have to prove that it's an actual name. You can't just make up shit, right? Which we love to do at times, especially our celebrities. And there was a court case where someone was trying to prove to the courts that they could name their child Keanu. which, you know, the doctors and naming registry said is not a real name. And I'm
When
like,
was this?
this was not that long ago.
Yeah.
So this, like, maybe the Matrix wasn't popular there. Maybe this wasn't popular there, or they basically edited him out because they said, I don't get that guy's name. It's not Pat. It's not Drew. It's not Eileen. Get him out of there. Edit him out of the movie.
Oh, maybe so. Maybe he was. I mean, I think that this was pretty early on in his career. Not one of the first things he'd done. He'd done a couple other things at that point that were probably a little more popular than this. He was in River's Edge in the same year, which I think is like a fairly popular film. I'd have never seen it, so I have no idea. But I remember it being talked about. And he was a biker in a Coca-Cola commercial.
That was a big deal back then. Being in you could make your entire career off being in a soda commercial.
That's true. And he was on some like Disney things and also in some movie called now I do want to watch this at some point. A movie called Teenage Dream from 86, and I'm going to just tell you what this is because there's no way we're going to probably cover it. But maybe one day we'll get around to it in another form. But it's original title Flying. And it's about a high school student skillful in gymnastics is seriously injured in a car accident. Her future will show which is stronger, dreams or reality.
Harsh, and also a gymnast being injured in a car accident. That's irony. The way it's phrased in that, it sounds like they're trying to say like it is. I don't know why.
But yeah, he was early on in that, and I think he was the teenage dream. I think
he is definitely not in this poster from Germany. I do love this. It has one of my favorite things in bad posters, besides everything. Drew Barrymore's character is painted.
Yes.
And there's an old man biting his thumb next to her who is not painted. I
think he's a villain.
There's a Winter Warlock looking fellow who looks like he's a villain from Farscape. And
yeah,
I don't get him. And then there's
that
another
guy is the one that's the guy I was like I was like, who is that? Because he looks like an alien from some 90s sci-fi show or a Power Rangers villain.
He does. Or like a really weird mod rock star.
Mm-hmm.
But
I could see that.
What's weird is he's got that ice face. Like he's got a bald cap on. He's got black mascara and black lipstick, and his whole face is kind of white blue.
He looks like Black Swan, the Natalie Portman character.
But above him is another character who is also wearing white blue makeup, but otherwise is completely normal.
I think that's probably a living statue. He's come to life.
There's no way. There's no society out there, whether in our land, girl land, boy land, or toy land, that doesn't have living statues. You cannot get rid of them.
He's a panhandler who does.
Guys, get Keanu off that poster. We need to get the panhandler on the poster. It's very important.
Okay, so we have to talk about this guy, the guy who directed it. I don't know much about him, but I just looked. I looked at his IMDb page, and his name is Clive Donner.
Is it Richard Donner's brother?
I don't think so. I thought that
everyone
might have
with
been
the
related.
same last name is related.
I thought that might have been a thing, but he doesn't look like it. The only thing that I can, there's a couple things that jumped out at me. He directed a couple episodes of Danger Man, a 60s spy show, which I think a lot of people believe is kind of, they have this fan canon where they believe that it is the prequel series to The Prisoner, because it stars Patrick McGoohan as this spy, and the beginning of The Prisoner is him quitting a spy agency and then being gassed and taken to an island because he knows too much. And there's this weird headcanon that I've read where people believe that it's the same character, and that he's this is like the continuing adventures of Danger Man or Secret Agent. It was like called a couple different things. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then he also directed a film which I have not seen, but I love the poster of, and I want to watch because it just sounds ridiculous, called Old Dracula.
It's evocative.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a comedy or what, but the poster of Old Dracula is pretty incredible. And the tagline is, if you liked Young Frankenstein, you'll love Old Dracula.
I didn't think that's where it was going, but the second you started saying, I'm like, oh shit. Like,
yeah,
that's someone's, that's like Atlantic Rim.
Yes, which we've watched together.
Yeah, like specifically not that, like at a holiday that just happened, similar timing.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
we need to, like, there are, I mean, he's got a varied he's got such a weird assortment of movies he's worked on, that how he ended up doing an NBC television movie for this.
Yeah.
How does that happen? How do you get picked for that?
I don't know. I don't know how you like find yourself in those. I think it's like so much it's so much weirder now. Like you have to have done, like, it feels like you have to do certain things and then you end up, being in, like, directing a Marvel movie or something. But this guy's doing Old Dracula, where Dracula goes from being a white man to a black man. When I read the quick description of the movie, which sounds probably very problematic now. But he did that. He did all this other stuff, and then he did a bunch of TV movies. So that's probably how he got worked into doing Babes in Toyland. Because I'm sure that if you're good at doing a TV movie on like a budget and in a certain time constraint, you can easily jump on. Like before Babes in Toyland, he directed it looks like 6 TV movies in the early 80s, like all kinds of stuff. Oliver Twist, The Scarlet Pimpernel, A Christmas Carol. So like he's kind of already in that world and can jump on. He also directed something that I'm very interested in called Terror Stalks the Class Reunion, which is one of those evocative titles that we like here.
It's either the thing about that could be like, if it's the movie when it was made, it's probably a very killer among the class reunion. You can make that a really great modern low budget horror film or like a manga.
That's what it sounds like. But it's based on a Mary Higgins Clark novel. So
I want to get to these keywords here, because we got a lot for the first time in a while.
Oh, good.
And how I want to do this, I want to pick 6 myself first, and I want to make a narrative from the 6 I pick.
Okay, all right. Do we need to take a moment, or do you already have them ready?
Oh, I have them. I had them within seconds.
Okay, good. All right.
There's 73 plot keywords. So I'm going to start with one that just jumps right off the screen at me, and that is uncle-nephew relationship.
So it is very similar to that Babes in Toyland movie I saw.
It's gonna get more similar. Next up, evil uncle.
Oh boy.
And then from there, to keep the narrative going, we have monster.
Okay.
And then we have hugging.
All right.
Then we have I need one more in between these two things that just has to be perfect. So we have this evil uncle nephew relationship. We've got this monster. We've got, what do we got? We've got angry man.
Okay.
And then to finish this story, we have lifting an adult into the air.
All right. So at some point in this film, we're going to get an evil monstrous uncle who tries to hug his nephew, and his nephew isn't having it, and he lifts him up into the air to get him away from him.
That's the only that is it. I would assume the entire plot of every version of this movie.
All right, let me see if I can go through here and figure some of these out.
I mean, some of them are pretty fucking good.
Yeah, let me see if I can find. Let's see if I can find a good one here to start with. All right, let's see.
I mean, it opens so strong from the top.
Yeah, it is. That's a pretty good one. So let's say that we have. Let's start with a teddy bear.
Okay.
So this teddy bear is locking the door.
That's not good. It's not a good start.
And has a rope.
Oh God.
And inside the room is a child in jeopardy.
Child in Jeopardy is a really, if you're going to start your family fun musical for the whole family, your first plot keyword has to be child in jeopardy.
And the bear, the teddy bear with the rope inside the locked room approaches the child, and we get the character's point of view from a camera shot.
I think we also take a subjective camera view for that one.
And then we get tied up.
Oh man, I was hoping you would go with arranged marriage.
Well, that one could work too. I mean, we've also got a bunch of like familial relationship keywords.
There's a lot of familiar relationships. There's a lot of ones you would see with a horror movie, which is just
now
interesting. A lot of yelling, screaming.
Yes. Now there is a keyword on here that could be any, like there's a lot of keywords here. They could be any number of things. I do definitely like cape the garment, which is a really great specific keyword that I'm very curious about, like what other movies, have it, like sorted by popularity. Why is Captain America the first Avenger, the first one as cape the garment over the 1960s Batman TV show? Doesn't make any
his
sense.
Famous cape that Captain America wears.
But there's one particular keyword that I am very, very intrigued by, and I'm very curious how it's going to come into this movie for kids that was broadcast on 1986 on NBC. And that is, of course, Slimehouse.
What is amazing is that I don't like looking at what movies come up when you look at the most popular movies for Slimehouse. I'm like, besides Ghostbusters, like I fucking don't know what they mean by it.
Hocus Pocus is number one for Slimehouse, and also Spider-Man: No Way Home, which is a film that's not even out yet, is number 3.
Number 3, no one knows. No, I mean there has been a lot of leaks about what this Spider-Man movie is going to be. Apparently, someone knows there's a slime house in it.
What is a slime house?
Like, I get Ghostbusters. There would be a house with slime.
Sure. Addams Family also kind of makes sense, maybe. But, like...
maybe a porn? Like, what else?
That was definitely in Babes in Toyland 5.
Spider-Man Far From Home also has a slime house.
They took a trip to the slime house in that one.
Space Jam, New Legacy, slime house. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, slime house.
What is a slime house?
Someone added this to so many movies, though. Batman, slime house.
Okay, now I'm gonna do something that's probably ill-advised.
Matilda,
I'm gonna look up slime house.
Elf, that has a slime house.
Okay, all right. It's a podcast. Apparently, there's a podcast called Slimehouse, which is about
you can do
kids
that?
Movies. Yeah, apparently.
Can we just? They've already done one for a movie that's not even fucking out yet.
Well, no. I think that's just something that this is called. I'm trying to find a more specific.
Can we add predictocast to like all the block keywords of every movie we've done?
Okay, so now here's an interesting thing. The Slimehouse lists themselves on their Twitter as a podcast defining the Slimehouse film canon.
I'm sure at this point now, I feel like there's going to be at least one person listening to us who are like, I can't believe you don't know what fucking Slimehouse means.
Yes, and I'm sure if the makers of the Slimehouse podcast somehow hear this, I've never heard their show. I'm not passing any judgment on them at all. But if they want to like tweet at us or something and explain what the hell Slimehouse is and how it could have any sort of connection to a Spider-Man movie that is not out and also a 1986 TV movie version of Babes in Toyland, please tell me what that is, like what that connection is, and how do you define a Slimehouse film?
How something gets into the canon of Slimehouse?
Yes. Who decides?
Apparently they do, but like,
yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. You are accurate, but like, I don't know what that means. Maybe this Slimehouse thing is a connection to the movies that they've covered or talked about on their podcast. That's totally possible. But if that's the case, they've covered almost 1,000 films.
How many have we covered?
Like 100.
It feels like 1,000 sometimes. I tell you, man. I tell you. Ain't it right? I'm trying to. Okay, how many reviews does fucking Slimehouse have?
I don't know. Again, I don't know anything about this podcast. It could be great. It could be awesome. But I'm very curious what the Slimehouse film canon is and how it is so connected to all the films that have Slimehouse listed. But let's extract it from.
They've done Ernest Scared Stupid.
Oh, well, there you go. Let's extract it from the connection.
They have
to the
10
podcast.
ratings, so they're up there with us.
So
Jasper, Jared, Max, and H. Nelson. I like H. Nelson, the fact that he has a different name structure than everybody else.
But like, let's extract it from the connection to the podcast, and let's say like what we think a Slimehouse might be in the context of Babes in Toyland.
Oh God. I mean, they're going to a Toyland. Slime toys were very popular in 86, but I don't think this was based on 86 toys.
Were they though? I thought slime only became popular recently, like the last couple of years.
Ghostbusters came with slime. There was a Masters of the Universe slime chair.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, like you literally sat the He-Man character in a chair and you just dumped slime on him. You can look this up.
I'm looking it up right now.
Phil and I have talked about this in person many times.
The Evil Horde Slime Pit playset.
Yes, I wanted it very badly.
I can imagine why. It looks awesome.
Basically, every real Ghostbuster toy came with a can of slime.
That is true. I guess I do remember that. And I do remember when like GAC was very popular in the 90s. I was definitely a GAC kid.
I got Holly some GAC from a local pharmacy where they sell toys that no kid wants anymore. And
was it still good?
I mean, it was fresh GAC. They're still making GAC. She like squished it and goes, "This is gross. What am I supposed to do with this?" And then I looked at her and go, "I don't know." And then she put it in the garbage.
But that GAC could have gone to a kid in need.
I mean, there's kids who would just die for some GAC. They need GAC transfusions in their life.
What if there's
is there a GAC house in Babes in Toyland?
But like, is it going to be
in Canada? You could buy Nickelodeon GAC. I was basically an adult by the time it was on sale, so like I wouldn't have. But I saw Nickelodeon GAC on sale. Which the main problem with that is we didn't have Nickelodeon, so I didn't know what that meant. And two, GAC is another nonsense word, so it was basically like two nonsense words back to back with a can of slime. And I was like, why the fuck isn't this just called slime?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously it was there to sort of piggyback on the fame, the famed GAC that showed up in their various shows. But I guess I'm also obviously misremembering or forgetting the fact that you can't do that on television was very slime heavy as well, and that was
they'd say, "Oh, you GAC'd me."
Yeah. But I don't know.
So, Babes in Slimeland, are you excited to do this one?
I am excited to do this one. And I have to say that because it's the holidays, it's all about bringing people together. And so next week on the show, when we talk about the full film, we're going to have a special guest with us, someone who is not a podcaster by trade, so go easy on her, Skinner. But it's
I'm often an asshole to all of our guests.
But it's my roommate, Lara. She's actually the one who suggested this movie. She used to watch it a lot as a kid. I think she said she had it like a VHS taped off a television because it was probably one of those that was hard to get in the day because it was just a TV movie.
That was kind of most of our movies back then because you wouldn't buy a fucking VHS because they cost too goddamn much.
Yeah, they were like $98 or something.
I love listening to the podcasts because I listen to other podcasters too. When they talk, when it's the generation below me, probably your age, where like their entire nostalgia for Disney is not the actual movies but the sing-along tapes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Made the kids I babysit watch.
This movie came out in '86 when I was 1 year old.
Holy shit!
So yeah, we'll be having her join us to talk about this movie. One thing that we have not talked about that I just dropped the bomb on right now before we wrap up this mini episode. This movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes.
You're fucking kidding me. When we do TV movies, that's the rule. It's an hour and a half. That's our
how the
it's broken
hell
the contract.
Is this 2 hours and 20 minutes?
The contract is broken. How could they do this to me?
This is
I'm going to watch this like in 900 parts.
This is going to be rough. I did not realize it was that long.
Why would it be that long? How many babes are there?
That means when it aired on television, it was 4 hours.
Like they're just someone at NBC in 1986 just fucking high on cocaine and going like, man, we can't give just an hour and a half to this Slimehouse movie.
Maybe it aired over 2 nights. That's the only thing that makes any sense.
Event.
My
just
God.
New entry into the Slimehouse canon, just TGI, just must watch TV.
All right, well, God damn it.
God damn it.
Well, we'll be back next week to talk all about 1986's Babes in Toyland with our special guest, Lara Fortier. But until then, I've been Josh.
I've been Boyland.
And we predict you'll join us.
How was it this long? That's impossible.
If you like the show, subscribe, rate, and review us over at Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter and Instagram at predictocast, and you can find our entire back catalog at predictocast.com. Our theme music is by Kyle Sledge. Find more of his work at soundcloud.com/geistmusic. As always, thanks for listening.